Welcome to the Entrepreneurial CPA Show, where we take a deep dive into the knowledge needed to break free of the box and become the world-changing entrepreneurs you want to be. As always, we're hitting you up with the theoretical and practical skills you need to punch above your weight. Your co-hosts with the most are here to help you on this journey. And today, we have a very special show. This episode is brought to you by the National Association of Certified Valuers and Analysts, or NACVA for short. For the past 30 plus years, they've helped thousands of CPAs establish their authority in matters of value and become today's financial super consultant. Now, I know we all want to become super consultants, right? It just sounds impressive. So in today's show, we're going to ask a simple question and hear from two outstanding people. Are you tired of taxes? To answer that, we have our two special guests, Karen Casino of the Casino CPA firm and Zach Myers of C. Zachary Myers, P. LLC. Two outstanding members of the NACVA who both grew tired of taxes. But before we hear from them and how they were to transform their career through membership with the NACVA, as always, Dr. Sean, kick us off the theoretical insight we need on why we're all feeling tired of taxes.
Awesome, Garrett. Thanks for that. And honestly, sort of the whole conversation on taxes is a conversation that really all of us have, right? All four of us here, anybody who is actually tuning in to our show. All of us have those conversations, but I do think that there is a underlying problem in those conversations, right? And really, I mean, all of us, hundreds of hours are always spent doing taxes at big firms, whether you're a high net worth individual or you're a firm. There is a ton of effort, energy, and time spent dealing with our tax issues. But sort of the underlying question is, does all of that time add any actual business value, right? And that's a tough question to answer because in certain firms or for certain individuals, having a good comprehensive plan for taxes is important. But overall, I do think the sort of overall at-large view on taxes is, I think, pretty negative. And so I think Zachary has some insights in there for us, right? Because if I recall correctly, you still do work in taxes, but you've angled it in a new area. So yeah, go on, Zach.
No, yeah, I'm C. Zachary Myers. I've been qualified as an expert in forensic accounting, business valuation, pension valuation, and taxation, which means I testify in court related to tax fraud and things like that. I haven't done a tax return for a while as far as like regular basic tax return type engagement. I do only tax returns that have been accused of fraud. Those are the things that come to my desk. I don't do your standard taxes and audits, but I get the cases from the IRS and other departments that need me to review them for various things. And it's a very exciting part of taxation to look at.
So I have a follow-up question then. So if the only tax returns that that you are personally sort of doing right now are ones that have been basically said are either fraudulent or at the very least wrong, I mean, how is that different, right? Or how did you actually make that shift, right? How did you make that shift, from doing just basic tax returns to doing all of those more interesting ones?
Yeah, well, I started off as a BDO Seidman auditor, and I did that for about 5 years. And back then, the audit function overlapped quite a bit with the tax function. And so I would be doing the taxes, and I would do the audits and compilations, reviews, and the standard CPA stuff. And I did that for quite a while. I even did the internal bookkeeping even before that while I was in college. One day I got called down to the office, and they said, Zach, we want to get into forensic accounting and business valuation and litigation support. And that's sort of the first job assignment that I had. And whenever I accepted the offer and started to get into it, the firm that I was working for wanted to acquire another firm and sort of use me as a leased employee. You can read all about all of this in the Value Examiner, by the way, and they got a nice interview of me next month in September.
Great.
But
Yeah, have to do it.
yeah, but they started me off as a leased employee and as an auditor and a CPA with experience in taxation and audits. It really hit the nail on the head. I was perfectly suited for it, and it was exciting. Was the best part about it, because it becomes very mundane doing the basic tax returns, audits, and ticky-vouchy type of stuff. And it's something that I think is going to always be around.
Absolutely right, Zach. And I know that Garrett and I always hammer home this point. You know, as all of us want to evolve and shift and add higher value services, I mean, all of us have, you know, knowledge and training that can help us do that. All that we really have to do is to sort of think outside that, you know, box, and to find ways to really use our information, our knowledge, and our expertise, you know, to add value in new and, you know, exciting ways. And Garrett, I'm gonna hand it back over to you for a insight on that exact topic.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dr. Sean. It was some insight, an interesting story from Zach of how he started, like the rest of us in the professional accounting landscape, and how he was able to find his unique path out. So Zach, let me ask you with that, what do you think helped the most with the skills the NACVA gave you to make that transition out?
A couple things. The training, obviously, at NACVA is stellar, but the certifications. You look on my wall here, and you look at most professionals, you know, that are in a financial setting, certifications are where it's at. Your certifications are something that, unless you do something really horribly wrong, they can't take away from you. It's just like a college education. And sort of how I stack these on top of my college degree, that's what you can do. And it enables you to get into a field like this, to really, you know, when you're disclosed as an expert in court, they disclose, see Zachary Myers, CPA, CVA, and other experts have, you know, a dozen other name, you know, letters behind their name, and that's fantastic. Your certification is something that opens the door to all kinds of, you know, opportunities. And the CVA was what really helped me to really break into being an expert. The CPA is a great, fantastic credential, but when you start stacking credentials on top of it, that's really where I really benefited the most.
That's great. It's a very interesting story. I hope everybody watching kind of takes some insight from that, of take that next step, get that next certification, the next piece outside of that traditional CPA landscape. Because yeah, we all get tired of taxes because they can just be a grind. So as we talk about that, getting tired of taxes, our next guest, Karen, grew tired of taxes, and she also began to work with the NACVA. So Karen, why don't you tell us a little about your story and what you're doing now?
I was like Zach. I was also an auditor. I was with Deloitte Haskins and Sells, and was lucky enough to find an ad for a valuation firm in the newspaper back then. It tells you how long ago that was, and didn't know much about it, and went and interviewed for that firm, Brennig and Company, here in San Diego, and was able to get a job as a staff accountant. And from that point forward, getting training is, I completely agree with what Zach said, getting the training, getting the credentials so that you can take your CPA license and do something different with it. I think it's difficult to go into the field without any sort of training. And I think my personal opinion is almost impossible without training, particularly if you're doing business appraisals. I mean, that's something that you've got to have some training and probably some credentials to do. So I started, I started doing forensic accounting different than the business appraisals that the firm did. And pretty early on, I think I was one of NACVA's first 1,000 members or something like that. I've been a certified valuation analyst since I think it was 1992. So a very long time. I've seen the programs there grow from just a couple of programs now to the several that we have and the several that we offer. So I would definitely say my journey is different because I started so long ago when there wasn't a lot of training as there is now. And so if you're tired of taxes, I would get into, go to a NACFA, go to the NACFA website and look and see. There's a lot of different specialties within the litigation specialties. In other words, I do matrimonial litigation, and there's, fraud. I'm also a certified fraud examiner. There's fraud investigations. There's, lost profits. There's just business valuations. There's all kinds of different specialties. We have healthcare professionals now that do healthcare litigation. So there's all kinds of different specialties, and something probably will, kind of grab out to you saying, gosh, that's something I've always wanted to do, or I want to learn more about. My specialty now is I do mostly business appraisals and matrimonial litigation. So that's people going through divorces, and they need our services in a lot of different ways. We've got to do for them business appraisals. Sadly, we do a lot of fraud investigations in marital dissolutions. That's actually a big part of what I do. And we just do tracings of, their separate and marital property that it's called community property. I'm in a community property state, so it's different depending upon what state you're in. And there's various helping them figure out what each other makes, and what they're reporting on their tax return isn't always accurate, what their assets are. So there's a lot of work in the matrimonial area. The thing I wanted to let members know too is that, or just the public know, is that it's not just in matrimonial litigation. It's not just he hires an attorney, she hires an attorney, and we go battle in court. That's not, that's true about a lot of cases, but the world has changed now. So what happens a lot of times is people will get, they may not get attorneys, or not full-time attorneys, but just attorneys, consulting attorneys. They may decide to work it out themselves. They may decide to each get an attorney and go to a mediator and just mediate their differences. Never see a courtroom at all. There's also a model called collaborative divorce where, it's a team approach to working together and trying to resolve their differences kind of with each other, with their team. So there's a lot of areas, even within the matrimonial, that we as forensic accountants, CPAs, can help them.
And Karen, let me ask you this. When you first joined the NACVA, did you kind of know where this was going to go? Was that joining the NACVA just kind of opened the door to you to all these things you could do besides taxes and audit work?
Absolutely. NACVA, I really believe is an excellent organization of people that are very, very helpful to you. Certainly, if you go to the website, you'll see all the different areas. Try a couple of different courses, and you go to their conferences. The conferences are excellent, not just because Zach and I are speakers at them, but those of us who do them. Well, we take a lot of pride in it, so we enjoy doing it. So they're good, they're excellent. But a lot of I've taught for NACFA since I think it was 1989 or 1990. I've been teaching for them, so I've seen a lot of students come through the programs that I've taught, and a lot of them are just leaving taxes. A lot of them are just leaving audits and not sure what to do. So they explore, they take a few courses, they take a couple of webinars. There's some introductory webinars that you can take that are inexpensive, some of them even free, to learn about the different areas, and then you can decide what areas within litigation, forensic accounting to specialize in.
Perfect. That's some great insight for everybody today, because it's that we talk about all the time. How do you break free of the box? How do you get away from taxes? There's a whole world out there, and sometimes you need to kind of open the door a little bit and see what's there, because you never know the whole world that can unfold. And the great thing about everything that the NACVA does is a lot of that work is going to last a little bit longer, the age of automation and AI and blockchain and machine learning. That stuff is going to enhance that, but it's going to take a lot longer for it to replace completely this type of work versus taxes. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I want to especially thank Karen and Zach for stopping by the show. Don't forget, click on the box to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're tired of taxes, tired of the grind, you want to break free of those deadlines and get a glimpse behind what you can do with your career that's exciting and dynamic, join thousands of CPAs who specialize in business valuation. Transform your financial consulting career with the most widely recognized business valuation credential, the Certified Valuation Analyst. To learn more about the CVA business valuation and credentials and training, visit the website listed below. Like Karen said, check out the courses, check out the webinars, check out the training, sign up for one of their conferences. If you have more questions, there's a number to call, 1-800 number. Give that a call. Talk to somebody there about joining. Start your path today to becoming a super consultant. And as always, as we always say, we challenge you today to take action to change the world and invest in yourself.